Whether they were demanding your undivided attention from the get-go with their unquestionably chilling look, or stressing the life out of you during their first few minutes of screen time, these masterful first villainous encounters all had the planet undoubtedly hooked. So I am Gareth here from WhatCulture.com, and here are the 10 greatest villain introductions in movie history. Number 10, Raul Silva, Skyfall. With our beloved James Bond tied to a chair, after being brought before the man he's been searching for throughout 2012 Skyfall, Raul Silva finally makes his long-awaited entrance via elevator at the other end of a rather echoey hall. Instead of jumping to an ominous close-up of Bond's biggest threat to date, the camera stays put on a shot over 007's shoulder, inviting viewers to lean in and hang on the cyber-terrorist every eerie word as he tells the story of how his grandmother managed to rid her island of a bunch of rats. By the time Silva has magnificently explained how the final two rodents had had their nature changed by Grandma's cannibalistic oil drum method, after becoming a set of survivors much like himself and Bond, Javier Bardem's disarmingly charming mug is entirely visible. And in the space of about a minute or so, Silva hinted at exactly how calculating and merciless an adversary he could be through his chilling ratalogue introduction. Number 9, The Bug, Men in Black. While there were certainly a few flickers of genuine horror sprinkled across the first extraterrestrial interaction seen going down in 1997's Men in Black flick, things took a far more disturbing turn the second a certain bug from somewhere in the universe crash-landed outside of a farmhouse. Letting fans know that playtime was definitely over, this vicious alien creature took one look at the abusive sod known as Edgar and decided to try out a delicious new outfit. The bug's quest to get its stretched out new suit's hands on some sugar is about as frightening as it is side-splitting in the moments that follow, with Edgar's wife Beatrice understandably wondering what in the hell is going on with her dreadful and slightly saggier hubby. Putting the finishing touches on a haunting / hilarious arrival, this bug then tremendously responded by spooking both audiences and poor old Beatrice with the mother of all facelifts. Now I've got a quick question for you. What is your favorite sci-fi movie franchise? Is it The Men in Black or something else? Let me know in the comment section down below. Number 8, Frank, Once Upon a Time in the West. After accepting the role of the heavy mercenary known as Frank in Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West, Henry Fonda decided to show up to set sporting a pair of brown contact lenses and a sinister mustache. But the masterful director didn't want to hide the long-time leading man's unmistakable blue eyes and movie hero mug behind any facial hair. He wanted audiences to be absolutely rocked by the reveal of Fonda as the despicable figure responsible for the terrible acts that set the stage for his iconic close-up arrival. Gunning down the majority of the McBain family from afar on their Sweetwater ranch, the remaining young lad of the clan scurries out to find his father, brother and sister massacred on the dusty ground. The five figures behind this cruel and brutal collection of murders then wander towards the frozen youngster as Ennio Morricone's stunning score swells. And not long after the camera pans around to blow the minds of all who'd come to know Fonda as one of the heroic faces of cinema at the time, one of Frank's men using their leader's name in front of the boy leads to the most barbaric of exclamation points. Now that you've called me by my name, followed by the cold killing of the last McBain kid. Number 7, The Terminator. The Terminator. After a garbage man's attempts to empty a dumpster are interrupted by a few bizarre bolts of electricity shooting around his truck, that wise fellow soon decides to vacate the area after spotting a naked monster of an apparent man crouching in the middle of the road early on in Jim Cameron's first Terminator. But this was no mortal human. This was a T-800 sent back in time to murder Sarah Connor. And in case that wasn't clear from that iconic visual of a closed-list Arnie carefully analyzing this point in time, the Mountain of Muscle's first interaction with the people of 1984 swiftly let you know what this killing machine was all about. Mimicking the cocky punks who rudely welcome him to this decade with an unnerving blank expression on his face, this no-nonsense titan soon makes light work of the gang, shrugging off a knife attack and punching a literal hole through the sack of meat holding the clothing he desired. This bot meant business, baby. Number 6, The Joker, The Dark Knight. As a bunch of clown masked criminals all go about breaking into a Gotham bank in The Dark Knight's opening scene, each of them discuss exactly who this Joker bloke who organized the mafia cash robbery actually is. And one by one, this group of slimy and ruthless villains follow Mr. J's orders to shockingly kill each of their fellow team members after they finish their part of the job. In the end, the only thief left standing is the same one who ominously appeared on the sidewalk during one of the film's first shots. And after William Fichtner's wounded bank manager passionately demands to know what this final despicable clown believed in, Heath Ledger's absorbing face-painted icon finally unmasked himself, with the outrageously effective mic drop of "I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger." A quick grin later, folks instantly knew their bat was about to meet his match. Number 5. Bruce, Jaws. Steven Spielberg kicked off the nightmare fuel that was his 1975 seaside thriller Jaws with the visual of a teen going for a splash in the water in the middle of a beach party. But as Chrissy Watkins would unfortunately soon find out, she wasn't actually the only thing choosing to go for an Amity Island late night swim. Though the creature is never seen during this undeniably intense death at sea, thanks to the fact the animatronic often didn't want to play ball, that still couldn't stop fans from wincing and gasping their way through every one of Watkins' cries as she's repeatedly tugged at by what would later be revealed as a great white shark called Bruce. Folks didn't need to see this monstrous Chrissy-killing fish to know that it was enough of a reason to be on pins for the remainder of the nerve-shredding classic. With a few masterfully positioned shots from below, some jolting camera movements, and a deeply believable dying performance, a new horrifying underwater antagonist was born. Number 4. Hans Landa, Inglourious Basterds. In the opening moments of his 2009 alternate war history picture Inglourious Basterds, Quentin Tarantino presented a soon-to-be iconic big-screen baddie in the form of Christoph Waltz's SS officer Hans Landa. Early on, Landa comes across as an unexpectedly pleasant enough fellow, respectfully asking his host whether it was fine to switch from speaking in French to English. However, as their conversation unfolds, it soon becomes clear that not only is Landa a scarily intelligent man tasked with hunting down Jewish people hiding in the country, but that this particular Lapidite is actually hiding a Jewish family under his floorboards. In the end, Landa extracts the information he's been searching for from a spooked Lapidite, and after a nail-biting few minutes of milk-fueled discussion, which was tactically spoken in English due to the Jewish family below not knowing the language, Landa finally sealed his horrifying introduction by flipping back to French and savagely murdering the majority of the terrified family in front of a helpless Perrier. Number 3. Hannibal Lecter, The Silence of the Lambs. Similarly to the aforementioned Hans Landa, what makes Hannibal Lecter's first ever appearance on screen so unsettling is the fact that, while you are aware of exactly how disturbing and dangerous the bloke is, he doesn't actually strike you as an absolute monster straight away. Clarice Starling actually passes a few of those as she wanders past the cells on her way to meet the infamous Doctor for the first time during The Silence of the Lambs. And it's that well-crafted contrast between the more obviously dangerous criminals and the freakishly clean and still Lecter that immediately grabs your attention. As Clarice tentatively engages in conversation with the psychiatrist turned cannibalistic murderer though, Lecter begins coldly dissecting the FBI trainee with his piercing, unblinking eyes, and even figures out what skin cream she uses from a quick sniff. And despite her best attempts to get the supremely intelligent killer to help her understand the film's other psycho killer, Buffalo Bill, the chilling Lecter simply enjoys playing with another potential meal throughout. Anthony Hopkins oozes distressing brilliance opposite a Jodie Foster boasting bucket loads of defiance and dread in equal measure. And it is that wonderful combination that quickly immortalized Lecter as one of cinema's most horrifying predators. Number 2. The Xenomorph Alien. With Ridley Scott refusing to let his cast know exactly what was set to go down, on the day of shooting the moment the Nostromo crew would meet this little alien rascal in Alien for the first time, the likes of Sigourney Weaver and co simply knew that something was going to emerge from John Hurt's Kane during the scene in question. And something certainly did. After Kane had his face well and truly hugged earlier in the flick, the executive officer suddenly begins to writhe in pain during a group meal. And despite the team trying to restrain the distressed host, all they can do is let out a few genuine screams and looks of terror as the yellow slime ball that would ultimately grow into a nightmarish xenomorph broke out of its chosen human. Even 40 plus years later, you'll struggle to find a more shocking and marvelously gruesome slice of alien first contact than that time the world first came face to face with this little acidic sucker. Number 1. Darth Vader, Star Wars. Sometimes a character doesn't need to utter a single word or even raise their hand and you still know for a fact that they're not a figure to be messed with. And that was undoubtedly the case when everyone's favorite Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader, first appeared from the clouds of blaster smoke on a rebel ship in Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. Or just Star Wars, whatever floats your boat. Everything from that unmistakable black helmet to the roaring brass that accompanies him, to those early first few iconic heavy breaths, all rapidly cemented the one-time Anakin Skywalker as one of the most unnerving villains many had ever seen back in 1977. And if that wasn't enough, the Emperor's Apprentice then only went and unleashed a thunderous James Earl Jones growl as the half-machine Force user choked the actual life out of one of the scum aboard Princess Leia's vessel. Simply put, villain introductions do not get any more iconic, impressive, or intimidating than the arrival of Luke and Leia's angry pups. And that is our list, ladies and gentlemen, but do you know of any other great movie villain introductions that we've missed? Well, why don't you go and let me know all about them in the comments section right down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. I've been Gareth from WhatCulture.com, cheers for spending a bit of time with us today. Now go and kick some ass wherever you are on this planet and have yourself the best of days. Bye bye!